Details, and this is Kevin, also known as AWOL. And today we have another meshed together patterns. This is pattern 1111 and pattern 3. You'd think it had that memorized, but nope, did not. So if you haven't figured out, this is sort of got that February vibe where we have hearts and we have X's and O's. And this time I actually got the hearts right. Last time I kind of made them and they just ended up looking like arrows coming down. This time it's a little bit more like a heart. It's kind of blocky because it's like it's pixelated, and so it kind of, you know, you don't get the nice roundness that a heart should be, but it looks pretty close to what I'm after, and it looks pretty cool. So basically, in order to do this, there needed to be one red had to go from the right hand side over to the left, and the one yellows had to go from the left over to the right. So once those two get exchanged, getting it really tight to the loop is kind of a troublesome thing. So basically the easy way to do that is, in this case it was 2 black strings are the first two, is to get those kind of in place and kind of pull the ones that crossed over in really nice and close and tight, and then get those two to knot into the center, and that sort of makes it work out pretty for most part. It can still kind of slide, you have to use some caution, but that's kind of the gist of how you kind of get it started like that. That little block at the top of the red, not exactly ideal. It's sort of, I don't know, it kind of takes away a little bit of the bracelet, but then again, there was no way of like kind of blocking it all out with the black strings or anything. So it turns out it's okay, but I would have liked it to have been a little bit different personally. But yeah, the X's and O's, I think it's definitely fun. I like how the X's match the hearts, so that's kind of neat as well, I think. Right, so yeah, basically I did this with only the 3 colors, so it kind of turns out pretty neat. I had contemplated the possibility of making the O's out of the red as well, but I don't know, I kind of wanted to kind of stick a little bit to the original pattern, so I did. I left it. If you want to try it with all red, yeah, there'd be nothing stopping it from working. In fact, it worked out really well. Oh, so some strings get used a bit more than others, but for the most part, it's really closely done. Like, there's no real winners and losers in this, so there's no worry about having string left over for the tassel. That turned out to be pretty cool. I was kind of going into this thinking that maybe it could be an issue, but it wasn't. And I really like how it turned out. I think it's really cool. Oh, it didn't take me long to figure out that the pattern was hard to kind of keep track of where I was, and with so many things changing and shifting, I ended up opening up the pattern in GIMP, and then I started, after getting like a bigger area, like maybe a whole heart or the X's or whatever it was, kind of crossing it off as I went along. So, and typically I only do this on really, really difficult patterns, but this was just hard enough that it made it where it was just, you know, it'd be so much easier, so much faster if I made it so I could check things off. So you'll see some spots in here where like the hands just sort of disappear for a moment, and that's probably because, like right there, like that was me reaching up and using the mouse and the shift key, because I was using the pencil tool. So I click the mouse on where I started and then use the shift key and click again, I get a straight line to cross off like a whole area, which basically made this a whole lot easier. And seriously, like being able to cross off stuff as you go definitely definitely makes it a whole lot easier. Especially like because of the fact that we flipped it in the middle. The right hand side basically sees no change, but the left hand side with the hearts, they turn upside down, and yeah, that's a bit more difficult to do. But even just getting it right, because like the way that the red and the yellow have to bounce near the center, there's you know, some like it looks like it's just a black row on the top, but underneath, black row goes down and changes, and another one comes in and changes, just so that way all the black are there, but that way the underlying strings are altering the way that they go. So that's, yeah, it was difficult. And again, this is a case of taking two very simple bracelets and turning it into something that's much more difficult. And yeah, something about that I really love. I really like the idea of having a pattern that is a challenge, that looks really neat, you know, like whoever gets this bracelet, you know, I think they're really gonna love it. You know, what's not to love about hearts and X's and O's? I think it's awesome. Something to drink here. Yeah, I think there's like 4 hearts. Trying to, hang on, I got it in my hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 before we hit the middle. Okay. I get worried about running out of time on these ones because it's sped up, and it'd be really easy to kind of like lose track of the time. And yeah, well, heck, let's just do this. Let me just thank my YouTube members who make this stuff possible. Coming up real close to having another string order, and I can't do it without these guys. So it's I definitely appreciate all of their effort to keeping the channel going. And yeah, I plan on giving you guys a lot of cool stuff here. I got some plans for some more projects like this one, and this one's all month is just going to be like mixing up 2 patterns together. In case you hadn't figured that out, I've been kind of doing it here, and so yeah, there's going to be a lot more of that going on, at least for this month. I haven't even began to imagine what's going on after that, but for now, we're going to mix up some patterns and see what we get. So yeah, this is 16 strings, in case you were wondering, in case I hadn't mentioned that, which I don't think I did. Oh yeah, I hate when the ends, when you're flipping them around, sometimes the ends will end up in a little tiny knot, which makes it kind of drag weird when you try to pull it through. So that was what that was. I think this is like the 5th one. I think this is getting close to the center. Oh man. So while I was working on this, there is a like, it just was so like watching the pattern so intent, and like getting, I don't know, like somehow it kind of got in my head and got me kind of concerned that I was doing things wrong. And there is some parts in here where you might see some pauses where I was just like, nope, this is all wrong, and then realized that no, I had it right all along. So yeah, it's this one definitely kind of got to me, and I'm pretty sure that if I'm not mistaken, I think I have another pattern that's going to be like this for tomorrow to work on. I create notes before the month even begins on what I plan on working with, and if I'm not mistaken, the next one might actually almost be harder. So yeah, kind of concerned about that, kind of, you know, I don't want to make mistakes. But so far so good, right? I mean, this thing turned out pretty neat. I like it. I think it's really cool. It's got a little bit of a bow to it. I think something about, I guess you can kind of pull and straighten it up, but something about the side zigzagging more than the other side seems to affect it a little bit. But yeah, got it right here. What else can I tell you? Well, hopefully you guys like this. If you guys have a crack at trying to make it yourself, I would love to see it. You can share that with me over on Discord. We have a group where you can share what your works in progresses are, or what you've completed, that kind of stuff. And yeah, I'm always kind of curious as to you know, who got inspired and who tried to make what. So. Oh, and you can see that, like, in this, I do try pretty hard to do as much segment knotting as possible, but it doesn't seem like I found like a set way. Like there was no just keep repeating it as it went along, because the two patterns kind of change up a bunch. There was no real definitive, you know, set out and do it a certain way. But you can notice, like, there are places where I'm either concentrating highly on the right or highly on the left. Yeah, and sometimes it was just trying to keep it like sorted so that way I could tell where I was on the pattern. Like there are times where I could have maybe segmented a little bit better, but then, you know, crossing off what's done and where I am and what's going on would have been more difficult. So kind of is what it is. I went for as easy as I could, considering. And you can see, like, it's just so many zigzags, so many changing directions, and yeah, there was just a lot of stuff going on with this. Yeah, that was a nice long straight row. But yeah, this isn't for the faint of heart. Right? It's not. I don't think I would consider this advanced. Right? Advanced is when it gets really hard and, you know, like you have to have tons of experience just to be able to conquer it. I don't think this is that. But it's definitely up there. It's definitely, you know, a challenge. Let's put it that way. It's a good challenging pattern. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I've just been making too many easy ones. Maybe that's it. Maybe I've just been so used to doing some nice, easy patterns that kind of go straightforward. But yeah, this one definitely kind of got to me. Like I said, yeah, I used GIMP as like a image manipulator, right? So you can use pencil tools, that kind of stuff. I use that, and it definitely is, if you're in over your head with any pattern, crossing off what you have done is going to make it easier. You can do this a couple ways though. You could print it out onto paper and then just, you know, use a pen or a marker or whatever to cross off what you've done. But I find that I can just do it on the computer. It's kind of where I'm working anyways, so it kind of makes it easy for me. I definitely wouldn't want to do it if I was only doing it off of a phone. It'd be a lot harder, I think. I don't know. I think if you don't have the means to do it on a computer, then definitely just do it with paper. Just print it, you know. Used to used to do a lot of that back in the day. I used to we just had like Xerox machines, so I would have to draw it all out, color it in the best I could with color pencils, and take it to a machine and have it Xeroxed, which just made the whole thing grayscale, which definitely made it harder to figure out, you know, where things were. So like pattern like this would have been easier because there's only 3 colors, but more complex bracelets were definitely a lot harder back in the day, back when that was back in 87, 88. So yeah, there was once upon a time where conquering a difficult pattern was a lot harder. So, you know, when I tell you you can do it, it's from experience. There were times where trying to come up with these things where, you know, I would just do anything just to try to get a pattern that I wanted made. Kind of reminds me, like one of them was I wanted it to look like links joined together, and yeah, I had to work it out on graph paper, and then had to kind of check off where I was as I went along. And when it turned out, I was thrilled. I loved that one. Came up with a few different variations even as a result. Kind of got like inspired along the way, like while working on one, like, oh, I know another way I could do it. So yeah, that was kind of some fun times. Yeah, we're getting close to the end here. Not quite to the end, you know, but I mean, not too far away. Oh, so if you guys have any kind of questions, comments, leave it down below. I do try to get back to everybody. Yeah. I feel like there was some other stuff like I was supposed to remember to tell you guys about, but I don't. Now my mind is a complete blank. Yeah, see, I finished the circle, came around the other side, crossed the stuff what I had to, and that, like, that's the last circle in that row, and so now it's bringing in bits. Yeah, so like everything on that's on that right hand side, those strings are all done. They don't do anything else. So they kind of hang off the side of the board while I finish up the last of it. So what do you think of the hearts? Do you think that this is about the best way to do it, or you got other ideas? I'm curious. You can leave me that in the comments. Yeah, really close to the end now. So, yeah, before this thing ends, I do want to thank you guys for hanging out. Like, if you're watching the whole video, you're sending a powerful message to YouTube that says that, you know, you like the content. So thank you guys for hanging out, you know, this long. I really do appreciate it. The reveal's coming up here in a moment, and yeah, hopefully you think this is really cool. All right, well, thanks for watching, and as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.